Well, enough of that. This is Joe Bazooka here for the Gould Engineering Gould Bazooka. Yep, a fella sitting around a campfire, nothing much to do. He's got his mouth harp, play a tune, maybe have a warm woman with a warm heart next to cuddle up to these cold nights. Anyhow, going to get into the Gould Bazooka here. See, Steve Littner is there. It's got the nozzle down there, and there's a little fish swimming around there, trying to dart in there and pick up some of those little crustaceans that he's stirring up in there. You notice Steve doesn't have a wetsuit on. It's summertime, and it's fairly warm out there. He just gets in it, and he likes to get wet and get with it. So he's using one of the smaller ones we first developed. This is a little 2.5 inch, which is the smallest one. Started out with that with the first design. In fact, I started out with a commercial one, and later on you'll see we went into the 4-inch, which was moving a lot more material. But he's just kind of scratching around there, moving a rock or two, just kind of scraping up gravel, rock, sand, roll over a rock. Usually the gold's sitting under the rock. As the gold comes down during the winter time, it usually hides behind the rear of the rock. The front usually, it's like a barrier, so it swishes around it, collects in behind the rock. And so when he's doing that, of course the fish got their opportunity to go in there, and there's little life forms that live under the rock, and they go in there, dart in there, and they seem to be faster than the current of the nozzle. But this goes on all the time. I was surprised that there was even fish in the water here. I'd never seen any trout in here, but seems like whenever we get into here, and I just caught them on the camera here by accident. I just happened to see them through the lens. I started zooming up on them, and they're kind of hard to see there. They're right in the very bottom of the frame, and they're very small. They're probably 2 or 3 inches long, and they dart in and out. They're very quick. But anyway, the name of the game is to get the material sucked up into the bazooka itself. The bazooka then separates it. The overburden, light quartz, light gravels, all the things that you don't want, the lights go right through it, out the rear end. The stuff you want, the gold, of course, 19 times heavier than water. It gets trapped in a compartment below the tube as it goes through it. There's a steel tube that travels through the middle, and the PVC container on the outside is the storage compartment. And when it gets full, there's a 3-inch plug on the bottom, which you undo that plug and turn on the water and just put it over a 5-gallon bucket and do a cleanup. A really simple 5-minute cleanup, and you're done. So this is not very exciting to watch, but it does give you an idea. This is an old 16 millimeter camera. I don't think they even make them anymore. But the optics is much better than the new stuff they have today. You can zoom up and actually see the rocks on the bottom without having an underwater camera. It's some pretty good photography. I'm sorry that they've gone to all this little handheld stuff that when you're trying to take good pictures, they're flopping around and it's hard to hold the camera steady. This is a large camera that mounts up on your shoulder. Anyway, here's the river we're in. A lot of rocks, very large rocks out in the middle. And during the winter time, all this is underwater. The water probably rises 15 to 20 feet. and you don't dare even get near it in that time. You'd probably lose your life in that water. It's very fast and very dangerous with all those huge rocks in there. It'd beat you to pieces. Here's the rear end of the Bazooka. You can see the nugget trap. The water is expelling out through it, and we usually position it out downstream from us, let the water run back in, but discharge the rock off to the side where it's out of the way. And this little hole we've worked for 2 or 3 years, and one day we pulled almost an ounce out of it. It's not hard to get to. You can almost drive. In fact, there's a road right where we're working there, where I guess probably the forestry drives over there to do whatever the forestry does up in there. So it's not a very place that's hidden from the public. It's probably well worked, even though it is a claim. Claim jumpers are always working your claims. But you can see he's working on that hole, and he's going to try to get down to bedrock. That's the key. You've got to go through the layers of rock and sand and sedimentation, and there's a false bedrock, which is clay. Of course, that's a good place to get your gold, because the clay will hold the gold. Gold, being 19 times heavier, will work its way clear down to the bedrock. When it hits the clay, it's going to stop. So we work that clay pretty good. Clay is not a match for the Bazooka. When it gets into it, it just turns it into chocolate milk and extracts the gold. And luckily, when you're in deeper water, the sedimentation stays on the bottom, so you never see the water get colored up. So we're just working on that hole. It takes a while. This isn't a giant machine. This is only 4 inches in diameter, so it's only going to move. And there's material going through. Some of that you can see the darker spots when they come through. A clump of material in there. Who knows? Sand, rock, big clump there just flies through, and it moves through pretty quick till it hits the inside of the separator, and then it gets spins around in there. The gold is slung to the outside, and the unwanted material is ejected out through the rear end. So it moves in there pretty fast, but you can move with a 4-inch. You're probably talking 4 to 5 cubic yards per hour, which if you were shoveling by hand into a high banker, that would be a whole bunch of work. A lot of work. I've done it before, and I probably, if I moved 5 yards in a day, that would be a lot of material. Of course, I'm not young and spry anymore, so it takes me twice as long as you young bucks. But and this is kind of boring to watch, but I get fascinated just to see what he's uncovered in there. Right where that little bend is there, we had a bad spot in the tubing there, and we had to kind of work around it. Came from the manufacturer that way. Luckily, it was right at a spot where we could cut off 5 feet and go around the... And Joe never quits. This is Joe Long. He'll go at this for probably 12 hours, taking a few breaks. It's hard to even get him in to take lunch. He just, once he gets going, he's like a machine. And this is his first time really with this machine. We've had the smaller ones, but with the 4-inch Bazooka. And in fact, we did on this model, we didn't have the rotary jet on it. That was a development that we developed later on. So unfortunately, we don't have that extra spin that the vortex generator produces. But this little bit of a drive coming up here is up there close to Happy Camp, up there by the Oregon border in California. And it's a bare 20 miles of dirt road to get to. Uh-oh, that's not supposed to happen. Uh-uh. Well, I don't know what happened here. uh, anyway, audio came on here. It's not supposed to. So anyway, this is Steve Littner, and he's panning out the concentrates. We've emptied into the bucket, and he's already done a good portion. Usually a bucket, you've got probably half a bucket or so, maybe full of black sand and gold, and he's on the tail end of that. Now he's down to just cleaning out the black sand and the gold, and this is a laborious task because it just takes, if you're too enthusiastic about it, you're going to lose your gold. It's going to go right out through those ripples there. So he's being real cautious at this point because, in fact, I usually use a safety pan and put a pan underneath of it, so if I get careless, I haven't lost my gold. And this particular day, like I say, we had close to an ounce of gold on our cleanup. And it's just another view, and actually we changed panners here. This went to Dave. Dave, I'll think of your name here later on. Dave owns the claim, and this is probably our third or fourth trip up there. It's a 4 to 5 hour drive for me to get up here. So we usually stay 4 or 5 days to a week. Usually when we run out of food, it is a rough camp. There's no conveniences, no water, no anything. What you bring is what you have. You run out of food, you got to drive into town and get it. Anyway, still working this out, and hopefully you get us a little better picture on here what his cleanup looks like. Yeah, there it is. You see, well, stop wiggling the pan there, Dave. Let's hold it still so we can see what you're doing there. You got it in the shadows. Can't see what you're doing there. I think I just see the glitter. There's a glitter right at the very bottom. He just keeps messing with that pan. I guess he's toying with us right now. Dave, straighten out the pan. There you go. Now settle it down. Show us what you got, buddy. There it is. Nope, out of view. Okay, there's in the bottom. See that golden stuff down there? That's not the whole ounce. That's probably about quarter of an ounce, maybe a little more. Maybe not quite half an ounce, a little less than half an ounce. But that's the thing you're looking for. There's the gravy train right there. Of course, this was several cleanups. We just fill usually several buckets full, and then we go through, sit down, start doing a cleanup, see where we're at. If we're not getting anything, it's time to move to another hole. This hole's been pretty productive for us, and we just keep making the hole wider. Just keep working it, and we never have hit bedrock. I don't know, it might be 20 or 30 feet. Who knows? So I think we just neared the end of this video, folks. So this is Joe Bazooka signing off. Hope you have a good time.